Hi, I'm Monica.
Hi, I'm Nova.
Hey, I'm Cash, and this is the second installment of Anxious at Bedtime. Thank you for joining us.
So, first of all, if you listened to episode one and you're returning, I want to say thank you because episode one was so chaotic. I didn't realize until editing how all over the place we were. You could tell our nerves were definitely getting the best of us. So, if you're sticking around, thank you so much. We appreciate it. I promise we will be less chaotic.
Yeah, with a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, trial by fire, baptized by fire, however it goes. Uh, we'll work with it and we'll, just improve.
And I also want to say we did talk a lot about dinosaurs having feathers and stuff like that. All of that is allegedly. I don't know where all of that came from.
Definitely not the facts.
Definitely not the facts, but it's there and we said it and it was half the episode. So, yeah.
Also, that lake monster definitely seaweed. For anybody who didn't catch the last episode, we had a wild scare of some wild horses and a seaweed in a lake.
Let me translate if you did miss the first episode. Cash is very scared of lake monsters, and so he needs to believe that it's seaweed, and we support him in that endeavor. Another thing that I wanted to touch on really fast is we didn't talk about why we decided to go with a spooky podcast. We didn't just randomly pick a theme for a podcast. We decided on a paranormal podcast because we were all spooky kids and we are now very spooky adults and we love everything spooky, everything scary.
Haunted houses,
Haunted houses, not the ones that touch you. I don't like those.
they're okay.
But haunted houses, haunted movies, all of that.
Ghosts,
Ghosts. We each were very spooky children.
we were all in tune with our supernatural side. Not like I don't fucking have superpowers and nothing like that. I'm not an alien, nothing cool. But we all like ghosts and fucking werewolves and not fucking werewolves. We never did that. Um
This is why I had to mark the podcast as
explicit.
explicit. We were the kids that were always reading Goosebumps, and I know I don't know. I feel like now we're like being weird and braggy about like, look how spooky we were.
I don't like it either.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll just move on.
I like ghosts
But anyway, since we got all
and
of that
UFOs.
But anyway, since we got all of that out of the way, today is a Cash episode. So, Cash, what story do you have for us today?
Staying on the topic of lake monsters and lakes and spooky horrors of lakes, have you guys heard of the water babies of Pyramid Lake, Nevada?
I have, and I have experienced them.
Oh, I know you have, Nova. Do you have any experience with the water babies?
I do not, to my knowledge.
Just outside of Sparks, Nevada, there's a lake called Pyramid Lake. And at this lake, there's a superstition that there's something called water babies. Almost every single year, don't quote me on that, but there's a lot of disappearances within the lake. So you have a lot of people that'll go swimming, fishermen that'll be fishing the lake, trying to catch one of their renowned trout. Basically, what happens is there's a lot of cave tunnels underneath Pyramid Lake. There's a lot of different waterways, and the water flow will carry people out. But the superstition is there's been a lot of drowned Paiute children in that lake. And late at night, especially during the spring, you can hear them scream. You can hear their moans, their groans. You can hear the screams of ghostly children. And then a lot of the disappearances are chalked up to the water babies kidnapping and feeding off the souls of the people that they drown and kidnap.
I just want to say I've never heard about the disappearances before, and that's terrifying. Thank you for not telling me about that when we went.
Well, we didn't intentionally go to Pyramid Lake. I mean, I have quite a few times, and it's really not that bad. You do hear a lot of screams and a lot of crying. It sounds like a lot of babies out there really just not having a good time.
Do you have any specific stories from either your friends or at any of the times that you went?
Off the top of my head, I don't. No, no, officer.
Officer. Okay. Do you want to talk about our story?
I'd like you to.
Okay. So 3 years ago, 4 years ago, wow.
Yeah, about 4 years ago.
So 4 years ago, we were driving to Tahoe, Nevada from Southern Oregon.
Lake Tahoe, Nevada.
Yeah, Lake Tahoe, Nevada from Southern Oregon
And thanks to all the Oregon forest fires,
and
we got
Nevada
rerouted.
forest fires.
Nevada too. California was on fire. The whole Pacific Northwest and that whole area was just engulfed in flame and smoke. So we were rerouted a long way down the side of California and Nevada to get to Lake Tahoe. It was wild times.
On our way home. No, it wasn't even to there. It was back, huh?
The way back is when we came across the lake.
Yeah, because we tried to take a different route home. It was a really long reroute. It added an extra 4 hours to our drive, and we were trying our best to not do that again. So one of the people we were with Google mapped it, and it took us this weird route. We ended up going almost completely around Pyramid Lake on this dirt road in a tiny 2017 Chevy Malibu, which was not meant to be on back roads or dirt roads or anything like that. We were being thrown all over the car. It was so dusty. There were giant potholes where you could see people's cars broke and fell apart going through the potholes.
There were bumpers and fenders everywhere from everyone trying to just drive through here, rerouting. And it was a rough road. You had a lot of the really soft sand. It was just powder. And that's significant because as we drove through, mind you, our little Malibu is just a little maroon car. We're driving. It's four grown adults. It's me, my wife, two of my friends, and one of them, mind you, he's 6'5", pretty large fella, big ass fucking hands. Uh, the other guy is a little bit smaller. He's like 5'7", skinny little guy, but he still has grown man hands. So we're traversing this weird little road around the lake, and as we come to this little dip, we realize that the sand is too soft for us to just pass. We can see a lot of different broken pieces, and we can tell, hey, this probably isn't the best route. It's not going to be fun. So we decide to pull off in a safe little spot so we can get out and assess the situation. We take a look around, and all over the car, there's tiny little children's handprints.
The entire car was covered in, obviously, I had the smallest hands like that big, like the size of my palm, handprints over the entire car. You could see them in the dust.
Infant children handprints everywhere, hundreds of them. And we don't have children. Our car was pretty freshly washed from the trip, but yeah, there was tiny little handprints everywhere when we got out. And some people, I'm not some, but some people on that trip swore that they could hear the screams of kids and laughing. And while we looked around, there's really nothing around. We're in a desolate, remote area. Like we said, there's just some broken down pieces of car, some torched cars on the side of the road, broken down train off the side of the train tracks. It's just desolate area. It kind of looks like the hills have eyes. Um,
Not to mention, on one side of us, you could see the wildfires coming over the mountain. On the other side of us was the lake. And then we have handprints on our car. It was terrifying.
yeah, it was pretty cool. If you like, supernatural and unexplained occurrences, that's definitely what this was. I was in the middle of telling the story about this too. That's the best part. As
No,
we were driving, I was explaining to all these guys they've never been in this area. They hadn't heard the story of the water babies up until this point either. They were pretty new to this, their first time in Lake Tahoe, and hearing all these stories, they're like, "Yeah, man, you're tripping, like bullshit, you're making stuff up." So getting out and seeing all those handprints, they were pretty perturbed, little worried about it. They were like, "What the fuck is this?"
it was fun, but it was terrifying. It's a fun story to look back on now because at the time we kind of had to pick our poison. Are we scared of the wildfire or are we scared of the water babies? And so all of us kind of, without talking about it, decided we're worrying about this wildfire. We're getting out. We were surrounded by smoke. We were passing no cars. None of us had cell service. No, no, no. We passed one semi truck, and I do have a picture of that
Oh yeah, it was an Amazon delivery truck. So when they say
out
they're
on the
gonna
dirt
get you
road.
your package, man, they're fucking serious. Wildfires, fucking smoke, blazing heat, and water babies. They got you that lunch meat. They got you that fucking TV. Whatever you order, dog, you got it. They are not playing around.
This is not an ad, but we would love to be sponsored.
Not by the water babies though.
Not by the water
We're
babies.
cool without you.
No, but I wish I got a picture of the handprints. I have a picture of the semi truck, but I was too scared, like I said, to even acknowledge the handprints. We all just got back in the car and we kept going.
Yeah, everyone, not myself, let's be honest. Everyone else that was there was like, "Hey man, let's fucking get the fuck out. Like swiggity swooty, get past this booty." Yeah, they wanted to get the fuck out of there. So I did because I'm respectful, not scared. Also, it wasn't kelp or seaweed. We'll be clear.
Okay, you got any other stories?
Not off the top of my head. I can't think of other stories off the top of my head that I really want to tell for this. There's just been tales of a lot of people disappearing from them. There's lots of different spiritual beliefs about what the water babies are. A lot of them think that they're the drowned children of the Paiutes. Different people think it's just the wind blowing off the water, hearing that and the ripples of the water going through the underground caves and tunnel system, that you just kind of hear a whistling and it sounds familiar to like a child's cry, or screaming, something of that nature. But in reality, still can't explain all the fucking hands all over my car. So there's that.
Exactly.
And in case you guys didn't know, we do have Nova on this episode. She is taking a nap though.
So I just want to say really fast, if you are listening and enjoying this podcast, please give us a rating because getting this podcast together has been the most difficult thing. I've heard of people starting paranormal podcasts and weird stuff starts happening. They have technological issues, but I wasn't really expecting to experience it the way we have been experiencing it because holy cow.
We weren't even talking about anything too fucking spooky. We weren't
No,
even talking about no GHOSTS.
With those water babies.
They're tormenting us. I still have that Malibu. I'm sure that that's what it
yeah,
is. No more handprints, but I definitely have the car.
no, but it's been insane. Weird stuff has been happening in general. Like Nova's been being invaded by giant spiders in her bedroom.
She fucking ate like six of them,
She might have.
plus all the audio issues we've had. And then your phone going offline and then the app not working and just tons of little quirks here and there that, I will explain away to the paranormal.
Yeah. So because obviously Cash and I are together in the same house, but Nova is long distance, so we're doing this through Zoom. And my Zoom app just completely shut down to the point that nothing would load. I had to delete it and reinstall it. But yeah, I'll get back to it. Because this story was mostly going to be a personal experience, we weren't sure how long it would be. So I do have another story to add to this, and it's still crying baby related.
Hold on. Not like a real life crying baby. That's not what it is, right?
Haunted crying baby related.
Haunted crying baby. Yeah.
Yes.
She's not talking about like fucking terrifying a toddler.
No, no. I accidentally found this, but it's an article where a man wrote into the Daily Mail and the Daily Mail posted his story, and that's where I found all this info. So if you want to see the article, you can go find it. It's kind of scary.
I do.
Yeah, I recommend reading it. It goes in a lot more in depth than I did. But 20 years ago, a man and his wife, Sandra, and their 1 month old baby moved into an old house that had a pond in front of the house. Now, I couldn't find this man's name, but I did find his wife and his baby's name. So I'm just going to refer to him as the husband. Everybody else gets a name. One night, they laid their baby, Agnes, to bed in the next room. A few hours later, they went to bed themselves, but as soon as Sandra turned their bedroom light off, Agnes started crying and coughing. They tried to wait it out, but after a few minutes of it not stopping, Sandra went to check on her. It was weird because up until that moment, Agnes had never given them any trouble with bedtime and was quiet. Sandra went to check on Agnes, and as soon as she entered the room, the crying stopped. That cycle repeated for the rest of the night and then for several nights after. Sandra would go in to check on the crying would stop. She would leave, the crying would start again. It was a freaky cycle. But eventually, the husband made a bed in Agnes's room, and then the crying stopped completely until one night when their boiler went out. The three of them slept in the master to stay warm, and at some point in the night, they heard it. With Agnes laying next to them, they heard a baby's cry coming from Agnes's room.
No, thank you.
Right?
That little girl heard somebody else crying and some other noises and was like, fuck this, I'll be quiet.
Yeah,
I'm good.
something.
I'll be all right.
There's something so freaky about that. Obviously, we don't have kids, but I know when I have both the cats in the room and I hear a weird noise, even just another cat, it freaks me out. And I can't imagine a baby crying when your baby's right next to you.
I've personally heard phantom cries before too. Shit, spooky.
Have you?
Yeah. Everywhere we've lived with Bean, I'll put her to bed and then like I'll go back out into the living room or something and then or just go to a different room and I'll hear her start crying and I'll jump up like, oh, my baby. I go check on her and she's completely sound asleep. Even when we had the little baby cam in the room too, like we would hear her cry, but we checked the camera. She wouldn't be crying at all. She wouldn't even have like moved an inch or anything.
I don't like it.
Right?
So when they were hearing all these baby cries, did the dad ever hear it, or was it just like in all the movies where only the mom and the child heard it? Because it seems to be like the dads are always oblivious to it.
That's actually a really good question. So both parents were hearing it, which you're right is not how it normally goes, at least in movies. The husband went to the room, and of course, it was dead silent. He had to look around and looked out the curtains, and there in the moonlight, standing on the pond, he saw the ghostly figure of a woman form. The woman looked distressed and desperate as she cradled her arms as if she were holding a baby, then stretched them out like she was reaching for something. The husband called his wife, and she was able to see the apparition too. Sandra said she wants us to give her her baby. After a moment, the woman disappeared. The man said neither he nor his wife
Nope.
felt fear. Yeah, exactly. So the man said neither he nor his wife felt fear. Instead, they felt extreme sorrow.
I would have tried to compromise and offered like a fucking sandwich. I would have
Oh.
compromised, like, hey, I got some leftover spare ribs, you know. I have some brisket I smoked earlier today. It's pretty good. Some jalapeno
A
poppers.
raw potato with a face drawn on it.
Yeah, you know, I got a loaded potato.
Or the little, our aunt used to make eggs that she would empty and then create like little babies out of them. One of those. Do you remember those, Nova?
I don't.
I liked them. But anyway, no, they didn't offer her anything. The next morning, he walked down to the pond and saw that the name Deborah was scratched onto the ice. For just a second, he thought he saw a face under the ice, but there was nothing there. A few nights later, they stood staring out the window again when they heard the crying and coughing from behind them. A moment later, the woman appeared, but she was ice skating on the frozen pond until suddenly the ice broke and she fell through. The couple sprinted to the pond and it was unchanged. No woman, no broken ice. They realized what the woman was trying to show them. With the phantom baby still crying and coughing behind them, they realized she had been out on the pond ice skating when she fell through and drowned, leaving behind her sick baby. As the coughing got worse, Sandra said she thought the baby died of whooping cough.
So this one isn't necessarily the baby crying in the water, it's the mother.
Mm-hmm. I went
She
a
fell
little,
through the ice. She was ice skating, and now she's fucking making her baby haunt you.
yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
I was gonna say to leave her sick baby all alone while she goes ice skating is wild,
Yeah, that was my thought. Nobody else was in the house.
right?
That's crazy. But then also, can you imagine the emotional turmoil of you just fell through the ice and your baby is still in the house?
That would only be like a 3 second
For
thought, and
real.
then she's
Fuck no.
fucking frozen, and she's like, "Holy shit, I'm gonna die right now."
That's fair.
So maybe her haunting is trying to get people like draw attention to, hey, take care of my baby. Like I'm dead. Take care of this fucking baby, please. Like don't let my baby die. So maybe she's just trying to
For
save her
real
baby's
though.
life. I mean,
Oh.
obviously a little too late, but
2 nights later, the coughing was worse than it had ever been. The couple went to the window and saw the woman. She walked to the front door and knocked. The man opened the door, and despite seeing nothing, he felt her brush past him. In Agnes's room, they heard rustling of sheets and retreating footsteps as the crying got quieter and quieter. The next night, they saw her one more time. She was walking through the garden holding her baby, singing it a lullaby. Then she looked up at the man and his wife, smiled, and continued on her way. Not too long later, they had a second child, and they named that child Deborah.
at least she seemed friendly. She walked by smiling.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it so tragic is the fact that it just seemed like she wanted her baby back. And obviously, whether it was, what's the type of haunting when it's just your energy?
I think the term you're looking for is residual haunting.
Yeah, whether it's a residual haunting or their souls are actually tied there, I think it's so sad that it's just on repeat. The baby dying and the mom dying and the baby dying because the mom died, and it's tragic.
Just a loop of sadness.
Yeah,
Does it
I'm glad they
change?
opened the doors for her.
I wonder if it changes by like the tenants of the house currently, like their different energies, if it feeds off of how her interaction is, or if it's actually truly a loop where she continuously lives this, or, you know, afterlives this.
that would be interesting to know, especially if the haunting stopped after they got her baby, or if it just continued to continue. But I would like to know that. Or did the previous residents even get to see her at all? Maybe she was just waiting for the right couple, people that understood what it's like with a baby, maybe, and then she felt comfortable enough to show herself to them.
Man, makes me wonder how many houses we've lived in where we couldn't help shit.
Yeah. How many houses we've maybe lived in that there were ghosts and they just didn't feel comfortable showing themselves to us, which I'm fine with.
Yeah,
I feel like a part of it could have been like if there were previous tenants, they were, they were seeing this ghost woman, and if they had a baby or not, they're like, fuck no. Even if they did have a baby, they're like, she's trying to snatch our kid. And
That's
I feel like the majority of them probably didn't let her in, but I feel like the family that did let her in is the one that made the difference.
that's fair.
Because
It was
I personally would not open the door for a ghost.
me either, and that's exactly where my mind would go is, oh, she's trying to get my baby because she's missing hers.
Hmm.
see, I'd be pretty nice to her. I'd be like, lady, can you just come get your crying kid? I'm trying to sleep here. Can you pick her up, please? She's in the other room. She's just tormenting me. Please get your kid. I have work in the morning. Who knows? Maybe it would have worked out way fucking quicker than those guys.
Maybe. It
After
does.
hearing the story, though, I might consider opening the door.
Yeah. Maybe.
This is how people get so many different hauntings. They hear wholesome stories and they're like, you know what? I could be that good. And then all of a sudden they're fucking possessed.
That's a fair point too. It's like you want to be the good Samaritan that helps somebody, but that's how you end up in the back of Ted Bundy's car.
Or you get drunk and go for a swim in Pyramid Lake. All of a sudden, you're water baby food.
All I know is I hope that this couple was able to help the woman and she's off wherever she wants to be in the afterlife with her baby for good.
Facts, though. I wonder
Yeah, I
how
don't know.
long they were separated for. That's just so sad.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I don't know. Hopefully not very long. But I think the article did say something about her wearing 1920s garb, so that's a pretty long time.
For real.
I think that's everything for episode 2.
Yeah, I think that concludes episode 2. You're right.
Thank you so much for listening,
Yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in with us. Shoot us a like, follow, a subscribe.
rating.
Yeah, all of it.
And if you or somebody you know has a scary story, especially about water babies or haunted babies or
Really,
anything,
anything paranormal.
anything paranormal, anything unexplainable, anything weird, please email it to anxious@bedtimepodcast@gmail.com. And that's anxious at bedtime, not the at symbol.
Yeah. The world can be a scary place with things like water babies and ghouls chasing down their children, but we're probably fine.